There we are. Third time is a charm, as they say. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Friday, January the 9th, 2026. Haven't said that much yet. Welcome and thank you for your patience. My deep apologies for not only beginning late today, but with all the glitchiness regarding the camera, etc. But we are here now, and I think there are everything is arranged for us, and not only from a psychoenergetics perspective, but also from a physics perspective, that we live in a hall of mirrors. And I've been speaking about that for many years, and my clients, as a matter of fact, one that was here yesterday was very pointedly realizing and experiencing and sharing how very, very much not only is everything around her being mirrored back to her, and in her case, in primarily wonderful ways, because she has done this deep work and her level of freedom and sovereignty is vast and deep and wide. And she actually has named herself or entitled herself Master Magic Maker. And that is exactly what's going on. She barely poses a question or a wondering when either the answer or someone she'll meet will bring that to her. It's so exciting to live in a reality that you are creating and that it can be the one you desire. Now, that doesn't mean that she isn't also at times catalyzed and triggered, because she's very well aware of the fact that that too is a mirroring and an invitation. And what she often says is, I never miss a good pain point. So she takes them as opportunities at this point, because she has learned to do this work and has developed such a wonderful way of interacting with the world because of her relationship with herself. And I bring that forward because it's very, interesting that this title today is Why They Don't See. And, so many people are verbalizing that. How is it possible that people can buy into lies and propaganda when in fact here are facts before their eyes? Here are, whether it's scientific facts or whether it was the many videos being taken of the incident this week in with the young lady who was killed, or whether it is your own personal life that we refuse to see how someone is, that someone is doing certain things to us, to themselves, or to the world, and choose to not respond in the way that our innate, our internal voice is telling us to do so. And that is a result of very, very early training. The training that began when we were very, very tiny, and that we did in such a way to be able to live within a situation, within an environment that was in it was absolutely contrary to what our internal world was telling us what should be, what we needed, what we wanted, what we expected. And that internal voice we come in with, it is what it is, a narcissism, actually, because there does not have to be any learning. This knowledge, if you will, is within our body, it's within our cells, it's within our DNA, it's primal, primordial, uh, just the deepest parts of us. So we do not have the ability to use that, our brain knowledge, use our cognitive knowledge to be able to handle it. So when something outside, and again, and I invite you to look in your own world, when something outside, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your work, excuse me, whether it's in your environment, or whether it's in our nation or our community, our nation, or the globe, um, there are things that we are reluctant to actually accept, that we protect and close ourselves off from knowing and or feeling, primarily feeling, because it was our feeling state that experienced what it did as a young child. And this innate knowing, this innate, I hesitate to use the word knowing because that implies, some brain involvement, when in fact there is not, there was not. It is like the hunger that we feel for food, for air, for water, for physical touch as a baby, from then on up. And when that doesn't happen, when we don't receive, whether it is something physical, food, touch, care, uh, response, or whether it is emotionally, or whether it is energetically, then our system stays in hunger mode for sure. It stays in longing, it stays in yearning. And interestingly enough, that overpowers even what we see and know and are experiencing. Because, well, there's two factors going on. One is that what is going on in our environment is so contrary to what we are expecting, what we are needing, what we are wanting, that we very soon and very quickly and very effectively have to start shutting up or shutting down that voice. And before there is languaging, that voice is experienced through our bodies, through our energy fields, and through our feeling sensation of our energy field. So imagine if you're in a massive storm and you are doing everything possible to protect yourself from being assaulted, pelleted by, or assaulted by pellets of hail, or strong winds, or rain, or lightning and thunder. You're doing everything possible to shield yourself, to protect yourself, to seek shelter from this storm. We do this in an internal way. We, as I said, we shut down and negate the sensations, expectations, needs, and wants that are natural, intuitive, instinctive, innate to us. And that is a massive form of protection, because if we were to constantly feel what we are not receiving, what is not coming to us, and what is not meeting those expectations, and at the same time feel them constantly, we would split in two. So we have no control over what's going on in our environment, over what these large beings are choosing to do, not do, say, not say, respond to us, not respond to us. And our only choice is to shut down the part of us that is saying this is wrong. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This should not be happening. And above all, it should not be coming from you, from these two beings, maybe not two, in often cases it's one parent, maybe the other it's a single mom, single father, whatever it may be. But even when the parent is not present, the expectations, the needs, the wantings, the unmet desires are still there. We cannot stop those, but we can stop the part of us that is saying, this is wrong, this is dangerous, this is bad, this is never going to change, this is, I have no ability to do anything about this. I am completely at the mercy of what is going on and these people who are making the choices they are. I know that that sounds radical, but it is exactly what a child is experiencing. We, so often when a child starts speaking, we expect them to understand and to know and to be able to voice what they're feeling, what they're wanting, what they're needing, and that is not possible. The stops have gone in and have been modified and developed and strengthened and worked with since we were very, very tiny. So by the time you're 8, all of those defense system methods, processes, tools are well in place. And we forget how it feels to naturally want something and expect something and receive that something. So too, as we get older, our brains having more knowledge, being able to understand and reason and logic, none of that makes any difference. Our internal world is still skewed. Our internal world is still set and fixed at points where we could no longer tolerate what was going on. And so we stopped not only the internal voice, but we stopped doing, being, saying, even thinking, even feeling what was natural and what is right and true for us. Because that same defense system helped us become either what our parents needed and wanted us to be, or stopped us from being, doing, saying, thinking, feeling what we were afraid would cause us to lose the protection, the provision of house food, etc., from these adults, which are our only resource. So the clash between what is natural, what we would, under ideal circumstances, expect to happen, and when it did not, we cannot change what's outside, so we change what's inside. And we shut up that voice, as I mentioned, that innate, that internal voice. As a result, it skews what we are perceiving. It distorts what is in our range. So that carries on. Cognizance, reasoning, logic, knowledge, learning, education, none of that changes what goes on inside. None of that ceases the child inside from that wanting and that longing and that needing and that expectation. And so we are willing to believe and misperceive what others are doing in order to preserve and hold on to the hope that one day they will. One day they will respond in the way that we expect and need and want. One day they will be what they are supposed to be. So when I'm, listening to people and watching comments here on Facebook or other social media, and people are just perplexed, how is it that people are not realizing what's been going on this entire year in regard to our neighbors, community members of the Hispanic cultures and countries, but also why is there still such support for those that are endangering our physical body, our health, our air, our food, our water, our natural resources, our public lands, threatening our very freedoms, our way of life, on and on and on and on. And there's not only a large amount of people who are willing to keep buying into this, but we have others such as politicians, corporate leaders, etc., who are actively supporting these acts, who are actively supporting this this harm and this danger to us. And we are reluctant. It's like, why is not everyone out in the street? People are asking, why do we have these wonderful protests, and there's many people who are working in countless ways to affect change, to build new, etc. But for the most part, we are sitting pretty much on our duff still and allowing so much to occur. And it is because it's not merely a reluctance, it is a desperate need to not believe the horrors that we are experiencing. A direct replication of this child refusing in their own way by shutting themselves down to believe in the actions and the neglect and the negligence and all that is causing that child harm. And I'm not talking about horrible, abusive homes. The sensitivity of a child is so difficult to convey. Oftentimes when I'm speaking to clients or students, I offer the example of a sea anemone or a jellyfish or even an insect, that the very tiniest movement or breeze or wave in the water, if we're talking about in the sea or in lakes or what have you, is going to cause that animal, insect to react, to recoil, to move away, to attempt to avoid or protect themselves. And that is still not the degree to which a child's sensations, sensitivity, openness, raw, unfiltered receptivity is. It does not even begin to equate. And so children they receive a barrage of pain and hurt and loss and just missing things, missing in their lives. Even when parents, like, oh, they'll be okay. I remember a time when a friend of mine, she had gotten a new car and she put covers on the back seat of her car, and her little son in his seat, in his child seat, had eaten crumbs. There was a bag of something there, and he'd eaten, and left crumbs there. I think it was maybe 3, 4, 5, and she was scolding him and, letting him know, I've told you, that this is our new car, this is not something to get dirty, and these expectations that she has of him to understand and know and capture these large concepts of what a car is, what a new car is, what's the difference between dirt and not dirt. What, I'm doing something natural. Why are you getting upset? Something as simple as that, because it wasn't that one-off time that a child gets upset, but it's over and over and over. This particular mother expected so much of that child from a very young age. Expected him to understand, expected him to verbalize, expected him to behave, expected him to behave in a certain way, expected him to not do certain things that she had told him. It's so difficult to understand once we're grown how malleable, how very plastic our systems are, and when that unawareness, that mother is not tuning in and actually feeling that child and putting herself in that child's shoes and seeing from that child's perspective. A perspective, by the way, that, we are adults up here and that little one is way down here seeing the world from a very, very, very different level. And from a position of having no power, no control, and utterly and completely trapped in the situations that they are in. So that is the time in life, or the situation in life, where we are truly victims. When we get older, when we grow up, we are not victims to anything. As a soul, we are not victims to anything, anyone, any circumstance, any destiny. We are free will agents in a free universe. But as a child, that is not the case. And the system, this, if you will, the design of this process is so breathtaking. I have clients over and over and over again coming to this awareness, this awe, this just speechlessness at the perfection of this design, that we experience what we do as children, because there is no more intense or wide or deep or profound experience as when we are children. And what we are experiencing is at the hands of those that are supposed to, in every way, on every level, be sensitive and attuned and aware and feeling for and feeling that child. And as a result, those wounds are deep, they are profound, and they are severe, and they are in every level of our system. We feel it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and energetically, which gives us then, and that those wounds stay, and we just continue to replicate our original world, which is our home. We replicate that in the people around us, our spouses, our friends, our bosses, our leaders in religion or government or what have you. Each and every replication, each and everything being a mirror to give us the opportunity to go within and explore and discover the lies, the misperceptions, the mistaken beliefs. And that is the bravest thing that we can do as humans on this planet. There is nothing more terrifying. Wars, horrificness, yes, there is, but it does not equate to what a child experiences in their own home and from their own parents. At no other time will that severity occur again. And again, perfect design, because as that wounding remains and causes us pain, anger, fear, again and again and again through these replications, it gives us the impetus, it gives us the energetic firepower to be able to transmute, transfigure, metamorphosize, and as a species evolve out of those ways of being. Those wounds are generally, initially, particularly in the younger years, related to our first and second chakra psycho-emotional aspects. If you're familiar with the chakra system, it is a system whereby our energy fields take the energy that is in and around us, and again, this isn't woo-woo, this is science, that there is energy in and around everything, and it feeds our bodies. We are completely and utterly interrelated, interdependent, interconnected with the earth, with the air, with the everything that is here. And excuse me, but we cannot metabolize it because it's in different frequencies, it's in different forms, etc. So the chakra system is actually energy transducing centers to be able to adjust that energy to metabolizable levels to feed our bodies that correspond to each of the chakras, the tissues and organs and glands that particular energy center oversees, feeds, regulates. Now, those wounds we receive affect those energy centers. Those energy centers, if you're familiar with the word chakra in Sanskrit, it actually means wheel. And much like the wheel of a car, that when the wheel is out of balance, it wobbles, and it does not allow for the car to run smoothly and in the direction that you actually want it. You're either constantly fighting with the wheel, or it becomes so affected that it then starts damaging other parts of the car. So when we do not transmute, transfigure these emotional wounds, we are actually, our those energy wheels are not functioning properly, which ultimately results in physical illness, physical disease, because those tissues, glands, organs that correspond to that energy center are not receiving what they need to optimally function and to heal themselves, etc. So, this beautiful design compels us, invites us, offers us opportunities constantly to go within and explore and discover, thereby hopefully reclaiming these pieces of you that I mentioned earlier that we have to set aside, distort, deny, shut down, stash away, attempt to forget about. So this process when I'm working with clients is very, very accelerated. It's very, very deep. There's very quick results because we are following the trail very deep within, down ultimately to the root of the root. And at that point, when it is transmuted and transfigured, it's literally out of your system. You are then reset, if you will, back to your original natural way of being. And you are no longer is there the need and the desire and the longing and the expectation for something, someone outside of you to meet those needs and wants and expectations. Not only because you are meeting them within you because you love and care for yourself, but because you have now accessed resources within you and beyond you, i.e., divine energetics, information, guidance, constant companionship and encouragement from not only what are referred to as guides, teachers, and masters in the non-physical, but everything in our world is here to bring us information, clues, offerings, answers all around us. And this is what is very present this week. For when we shut down that innate voice, that internal divine voice of us, we train ourselves to move into language, which is of course very linear and must be processed through the brain. And anytime we are working or functioning primarily from the brain, it gives the defense system the steering wheel. And we are effectively, and it is supporting us in disconnecting us from about here down and all of those deeper feeling centers and places wherein we have stashed these wounds, these pains, these experiences. Excuse me. So we live pretty much like an upside down triangle from about here upwards, outwards, always using our brain, our perceptions that are very third dimensional, and thereby prevent ourselves from having to re-feel what we experienced as young children. And the language that our body and our energy field and our emotional body and our sensing systems as a child, do not speak in nice, clear English sentences or whatever your language is, your primary language, but instead speak in metaphor and symbology and little clues and bites of information. So, as we're doing these explorations, if we do not allow and relearn and open ourselves to that languaging, then we are not receiving true information. The information that we receive cognitively, excuse me, and oftentimes even through what we call either meditation or speaking to non-physical beings or receiving information from non-physical beings, is oftentimes just a wider mind source, not necessarily our own, and not necessarily coming from those deeper places within us. Excuse me. So when working with clients, my client that was here yesterday, again, she mentioned some time ago, she said, I always thought that I had to learn some method of receiving information. I had to follow a particular way that was being taught. And she has come to realize what I have been encouraging and training people to do the entire time we're together is your own way. Your own way of languaging, your own way of feeling, your own internal knowing. Not someone else's, not mine, not a methodology, not a particular practice or tools. Those are all means by which we engage our mind and our will. And this information is coming from much deeper, wider places within us. So I often say that when a client is here working with me and learning this process, it is, if you think you multitasked before, it doesn't begin to compare to the multitasking you do and learn to do in this process, because you're receiving information from those sources. Hopefully you're learning how to identify and cease being under control of your defense system, which will hijack your body, your mind, your car, anything that you have access to. And at the same time, we are allowing those deeper emotions to come forward. At the same time, feeling in a physical body. So there's a lot going on. But when you learn how to hear from, how to receive from your body, your energy field, your emotional body, your wider self, your guides, teachers, and masters, but in this language of symbology and metaphor, then you're truly tapping into more and more parts of you. You are truly incorporating more aspects of you, and thereby more of you can presence itself here. And you are not now at the mercy of someone else's information, or no longer are you perceiving through the lens that had to be literally smudged and covered over from childhood. So when people ask the question, why do they not see? Why do they not believe what they are actually experiencing, what is going on in our world? It is all based in that child's need to hold on to, well, it's really not that bad. Maybe, they'll get better. Maybe they'll realize what they're doing and not want to cause harm and neglect and take and use me. But that hope prevents the true information from coming forth. And that's not to say that we lose hope. On the contrary, the exact opposite happens. We come to not just realize, but experience the fact that we are the choosers. We are the ones who decide what we want in our world, what we want in our environment, what we want in our life. And as a result of being so tuned into yourself and so tuned into this, to the underlying building blocks and principles and factors that go into creating this reality, that now it's a game. Now it's, ooh, what do I want to happen today? I'm imagining this meeting going exactly like this and this and this and this. And sure enough, that or even better occurs. But we can't do it with imagining alone. If you have not regained these deeper, stronger, more powerful aspects of yourself, then it's, luckily, or maybe there's coincidence or synchronicity, which is very, very different than design, which is very, very different than actually creating this reality. That's a lot, I know. It's actually more than what I wanted to bring forward today, but there is a lot going on, and I want anyone listening to this at this moment or at a later point to realize that you have the ability to change what you are seeing or what you are choosing to not see. What you are choosing to not feel within, which then leads you to take action, speak, move from that place within, from that innate, from the master within, from your divine self, from your true nature. Excuse me. So it is a process of exploration, discovery, reclaiming, embodying, remembering that language that, yes, there is a level of commonality, excuse me, in certain references, but the quote-unquote dialect is yours alone because it comes from your experience and what is meaningful to you. A toaster, if a toaster appears during a process or during meditation or what have you, it may mean something very different to you than it does to me. And so much like dream tracking and dream interpretation of your own. You have reference points. You have clues and little bites of information that are yours and yours alone. So everything that I do, everything that I teach when I'm working with clients, when I'm teaching groups, and what have you, is for you to come to your way of receiving information, your way of experiencing yourself, your way of processing. Once you learn how to receive the information and utilize all parts of you, your way of creating, because each and every one of us have a unique way. Yes, we are all creating every single moment, whether we're aware of it or not, but when you are able to go into those root of the root places, portals open. Portals open to other yous, wherein or whereby you can channel the creation abilities that you have from other existences, combining with your knowledge and your choice here and now. And that is what makes the magic. It happens very quickly because you are now in cooperation and collaboration and constant communication and connection and communion with all that is around us. And that which appears negative or destructive becomes a doorway, becomes an opportunity to feel. And so when people ask, why do they not see? The simple answer is because they do not want to feel. And the they is all of us. I can remember the night before I got married. Something was going on. My future husband said something, and I can remember saying, oh, this isn't good. I should not be doing this. Let me, hold off on this and rethink this. And that quick, lightning realization and thought very quick, very, very effectively became buried, and I went ahead with the marriage. Yes, did it ultimately give me incredible means by which I reclaimed depths of myself that wouldn't necessarily have been possible? Yes. But my innate was telling me right then and there this, what choice to make. So have some compassion or understanding of all of those who are staying so stubbornly stuck in either staying in that marriage, staying in that job, refusing to work with their body and their health, or those who are choosing prescription drugs, recreational drugs, alcohol, food, buying, all kinds of methods to numb themselves from feeling those deeper places, because it will automatically bring them back, bring us back to those deeper feelings of the child, those profound, intensive feelings. And yet, the only way to the other side of that is through it. And I'm sure you've all heard that expression. Just so, the only way to the other side of a society and a world not under the form and structure of a pyramid, wherein very few at the top hold the power and the control and the resources and dominate and suppress and hold down the masses, But as well, we must evolve these human nature aspects. We have chosen as a collective of souls, not only those on this planet and everything here, the tree, the grass, the cloud, the etc., but all of those billions of beings that are in the non-physical that are also in on this project, which is why there is just such, there can be, when you are aligned with yourself, there can be literally shocking synchronicities, like what happened last night. My client was here, and as I said, we were working with this languaging, with this ability to receive information from many aspects of self, from the universe, in this symbolic and metaphoric way. Excuse me. And I happened to mention to her that there is a beautiful Star Trek episode wherein another race or another species in the galaxy are trying to build a relationship with the Federation through Captain Picard and the Next Generation crew. And the only way, there is no form of communication. There has been little contact with these beings, and the normal translating, universal translating tools are not functioning, because although in most instances there is some levels of commonality whereby a translation can be developed, in this particular instance there is no possible communication through that translator, because these people only speak in symbolism and metaphor. So I mentioned this, I'm getting teary because it's so breathtakingly beautiful and emotional to receive this level of response from the universe. So after my session yesterday working with her, I had a lot of paperwork. I was working on a project. And in the background, because I know the episode so well, beautiful H&I channel on in our local cable, whether it's Comcast or Fios or what have you, DirecTV. H&I standing for Heroes and Icons. Heroes and Icons channel runs Star Trek from 8 o'clock until 1 o'clock in the morning, one after the other, the original, the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, Enterprise. So I have it on in the background simply because it's like a record, just playing a beautiful album. And as I turned it on, the description came up of that particular episode. And it was the episode that I had made reference to in session with my client a couple hours before. Now, that is what I categorize as a WATO. WATO, which stands for what are the odds? This is beyond coincidence, beyond synchronicity, beyond even hypersynchronicity, which is a thing. And this is, again, what are the odds? I had no clue. I had not looked up on the, guide or what have you. I simply turned it on, and it is the episode dealing with languaging in symbolic and metaphoric form. It is truly awesome. My client, I had to text her, my client had just a beautiful moment and response with that, and it is confirmation that we are in a collective cooperative. How could that be arranged? It was arranged, as are so many things in our lives. Just think of the coordination of factors that had to go into that particular episode showing up that night. My turning on the television, which I wouldn't necessarily have done, countless. And this gives us such security. It can give us such a deep sense of being held and seen and felt and responded to. This is the result of the wounding that I mentioned earlier, of not being tuned into, of not being put first and held as the most important factor in decisions that are being made, as one who is taken for granted, that we can handle it or whatever it may be, used, abused, etc., etc. This is the opposite end of the spectrum of that. And when you, as my clients do, come to have this level of constant contact, constant assistance, constant applause, constant celebration, constant help, constant guidance, constant opportunities, this is the result. This is what we have the potential for, all born out of those woundings of a child. The design is mind-boggling. Not only that, but this is not even merely about you becoming the creator of your own reality, but in fact, when those wounds are accessed and worked with at the root of the root, we are literally changing DNA. We are changing lineage patterns. We are changing cultural patterns. We are changing species patterns. Human nature itself. Evolving this species. So yes, we do need the strongest, the most blatant, the most effective catalysts in our environment, in our nation, in our world. Because what is occurring is such that we cannot not feel it anymore. This is why, more than sadness, shock, what have you, at what happened this week, I am in tears constantly at the reverence and awe and gratitude and amazement I feel towards that young woman's soul for making the choice to do this, to be this, to cause such a response. And there have been, and there will be more. And even unto the perpetrator, if you will, the person that shot her. That is a soul design that each one of them chose as an opportunity to help evolve this species. And for that, my gratitude runs so very deep that it becomes almost difficult to hold within the container of a human system. The awe, the reverence, the perfection. Because while others had been able to not see, had been able to not feel up until now, now this is a catalyst. This is a trigger. This is an opportunity to feel, not for them, but for self. What do you feel inside? What does that provoke as far as feelings within you? And again, even those that appear to be perpetrators, whether it's world leaders, whether it's your neighbor, all around us, we have catalysts, we have mirrors, we have opportunities, we have doorways. And unless and until we feel something intensely, we will make no moves to feel or explore or discover what is within. Yes, it's happening in an accelerated way because we have chosen to evolve, not over hundreds of years, not even over generations, but within a very few years, to make a radical and complete and utter change to humanity and our relationship to one another and everything on this planet and beyond. And that is why I say at the end of each of these episodes that it is with the greatest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on the planet. If you are still with me, or if you tune in just to experience the energetics, we're going to do that right now because that was a lot intellectually, emotionally, because oftentimes I'm transmitting as I'm speaking. Many of those energies were running through the words or the phrases or what have you. But I also want to acknowledge all of the other helpers that have been present this week, all of the collective, cooperative, the individuals from the collective cooperative that have stepped forth that I'm aware of. Some of them, other clients have brought forward, other people, certainly in the media and, I'm sorry, social media and what have you, are recognizing. But the ones that I'm aware of this week, the sun has been beyond active. There have been many different solar flares, yes, but there's also a hole or circle being created on in the sun's atmosphere that has never occurred before in all the records that have been kept. And they're not quite sure what it is going to what effects it may have. I'll try to find an image of it because there is actually it can be captured and has been captured. And so these powerful actions of the sun, this is very fiery, can be representative of great anger, eruptions, which is what a solar flare is. So all of that energy is being brought to us as friction, as heat, as combustion to activate and to catalyze. We also have an object in our uh, galaxy that has never occurred before. We have never seen anything like it. They're labeling it a new object. Excuse me. And it's called, they've named it Cloud 9, which I find hilarious. And this new object has aspects of it that, again, have never come together in this way. Again, I'll try to post it, but what they're saying, or what they're describing it as, a failed galaxy. So there's dark matter and hydrogen there, but there is no stars. So this is extremely unusual as far as a galaxy is concerned. And in sitting with that energy this week, what I was informed was that this was a galaxy that had attempted to do something similar to what we are doing, and it was not accomplished, and therefore it kind of blew out the galaxy. And that therefore there are no stars, there is only dark matter and hydrogen left. So that's pretty fascinating as an energetic that we have here, and that we have examples of, because I've said so many times, this is truly a unique project in the universe for many, many, many different reasons that I've spoken of in other episodes, but also that we will be coming to work with in future episodes. So this is very unique. And again, the fact that you are here at this point in time means you are a big ass soul. Period. End of story. Another factor that was very powerful to me this week that came in to help or assist is, and I've known about this for several weeks, but a beautiful image, which again I'll try to pull up the article, of the full map of the universe. Now, what has gone into being able to pull this information from a wide variety of sources, but it is an actual image that makes up the entire universe. We will be exploring and studying and learning from that imagery for probably decades, but the fact that it has been accomplished within this year goes along with the energetic that I and other colleagues have experienced for the past few years, which is a new origin concept of this universe. It was created in such a way, a dualistic way, and with polarity and all of that. And now there is a new universe being developed, if you will, with new physics, new laws, and it is reaching us now. We've been observing it, my colleagues and I, for a long time, as I said, the past few years, and what's going on out in the universe, but now it has reached us here and giving us that assistance and the macrocosmic view, or yes, of the universe, and we are the microcosm affecting that universe. Another powerful factor within all that is going on is this thread of creation and peace, despite what we are also experiencing as violence and onslaught and assault and danger and etc. The beautiful Walk for Peace monks that I hope you've been able to access on my page, but if not, you will be more so, or there's plenty of other sources. These are a group of Buddhist monks who have been walking. I can't remember the exact date they began, but they are walking 2,300 miles from Texas to Washington, D.C. for and on behalf of peace, but exuding and teaching that peace wherever they walk and at the places where they stop, and they've been giving talks and opening to questions, etc. So this underlying thread of the reality of the universe, there is peace beyond our ability to perceive it. And we also have the magic. This week we celebrated Three Kings Day, the Magi. These are scientists, astronomers, wise men, dream interpreters, sign interpreters. Again, we're back to the three magi were come from a larger group of these wise men, astronomers, etc., from many different cultures. Perhaps they were aligned with Zoroastrianism or the Zarathustra teacher. But in any case, their work has always been through symbology and signs and interpreting and creating language from the stars, the constellations, from many different sources, which is how they were able to interpret that the North Star, a new star that appeared in the sky, was an indicator and where they should arrive to find, as the story goes, the Christ child. And then we have Lady Luna. Lady Luna this week, the moon has been, it always is, informative and giving and offering and wise. Again, if you tune in, not just when it's full and everybody's talking about it, but on a daily basis. Where is she? How is she moving? What form does she take? Step outside or look through a window and ask. Ask her to gift you. Ask her to show you. Ask her to teach you. And again, allowing yourself to open up, as I invite you to do now, to that language that is not linear, but instead can come in sound, symbol, sound, shape, song, song title, story, book, legend, myth, movie, memory, cartoon, character from a book. It feels like, it's as if this is what you are inviting. This is what that beautiful episode of Star Trek, The Next Generation, brought forward and tried to convey to people. And what your own system, your body, your energy field, your wider self, your emotional body, your guides, teachers, and masters, nature, everything around you, all aspects of you are here to bring you. But our receptivity cannot be confined and limited to language. Joseph Campbell spoke about it so well and so beautifully in his great works on myth and legend and human experience. I quote him saying, God and Buddhas in the Orient are not final terms like Yahweh, the Trinity, or Allah in the West, but point beyond themselves to that ineffable consciousness and rapture that is the all in all of us. And in their worship, the ultimate aim is to effect in the devotee a psychological transfiguration through a shift of his plane of vision from the passing to the enduring, through which he may come finally to realize in experience, not simply as an act of faith, that he is identical with that before which he bows. And with that, I invite you to sink in, to allow yourself to simply feel, sensate, and experience you within this container that has been created not only by all that I've referenced today, but by all that has offered itself to us this week at this point in time. And allow yourself to receive rather than perceive with your mind those sensations, physical or energetic, feelings, emotional, in your body, and the experiencing you sitting on the chair, the couch, the floor, laying down, whatever position you may find yourself in right now, and simply experiencing you within you, within this alchemical container that you have called forth, as well as I, as well as all the people I have been connected to, all of the situations we have been connected to, we have experienced, we have heard about, all of the factors known and unknown going on in our world, all points within this sacred geometric container or crucible, alchemical crucible, that are mixing and stirring and blending and locating and relocating and adjusting. For optimal benefit to you, through you, for you, as you, and everything you come in contact with, think of feel in this physical plane, and all of that input, offerings, opportunities that are being brought to us as a planet, this project Earth, this evolutionary project. Not only of humans, but all the many beings within the collective cooperative. And I don't mean human collective. That it takes to create this reality and all those interfaced with it. There is nothing you need do, nothing you need intend, no goal, no purpose, no work, no effort whatsoever in this moment. Merely sensating, merely feeling, merely experiencing, without tracking, analyzing, labeling, naming, simply experiencing and allowing for what needs to be done for you. You may be feeling a great deal of movement within and without in your energy field or around you. No worries, it is merely the mixing and stirring and blending and combining and reweaving, unweaving, countless threads, countless threads within this vast and intricate and complex tapestry. There will be time for effort, time for work, time for doing. But now, in this moment, there is not. Simply allow. Simply receive. Simply be. Much like the child in an ideal and oftentimes in indigenous and ancient cultures. Allow yourself to be the center of. Need not even follow my words. For that is too much brain. I'm speaking so that the energies can be transmitted through my voice as well as through the energy field. For if you feel yourself drifting off, or in that beautiful in-between space, familiar to you as the moments between wakefulness and sleep, the moments between sleep and wakefulness. For in that in-between, which you may experience here and now as in between your physical and non-physical state, in between your human and divine aspect. That in-between place which allows your system to remember. Energetically, spiritually. That you are eternal. And you never die. For as an individuated form of the all, how could you? You are as eternal and as vast as the all that is. Receive allow the transmission of and the remembrance of your divine eternality. Your essence, that has been through every existence you've ever experienced, and inside your human body here and now. receive the freedom and secure, safe sense of self. And that your soul is conveying to you here and now. And you choose. And as always, you are welcome to stay in this energy, in this beautiful confluence of that which is in the physical, consensus reality, and that which goes far, far beyond, in a non-physical form. And whenever you do choose to move more into the physical, consensus reality in which we all find ourselves, know that you will be perfectly integrated and consolidated and complete. And whenever that may be it in this moment, or if you choose to stay in the energies, please do so in your way. Not pulling yourself back or pushing or deciding, or for your system has its way, its pace, its rhythm of how to move from one state to another. Please look for, excuse me, on my page. I will try to post the images and articles I mentioned from the helpers that I named, and those that I haven't, and those that will present themselves in the coming days as having been a part of or continue to be participants in this. Particular container for this week, this theme. And I invite you and ask for your input. Please comment, please bring images or helpers or whatever you encountered or encounter to this mix, naming them, commenting, etc. Because in doing so, it strengthens and fortifies and re-blends for your benefit and the benefit of those that may be listening at a later time and or continue to participate this week. And again, I reiterate that it is with the deepest of honor, gratitude, and love for your presence here on this planet at this point in time. Until next time.